Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Really quickly, I'm going to go through the books that I read in January just to kind of wrap things up and share some of my thoughts and different things like that. I had seen some other booktubers who were doing monthly wrap-ups as well, and I love seeing, people's thoughts after they read something and kind of deciding whether I would like to add that to my list or not. This year, I put down that I wanted to read 24 books on Goodreads as my reading challenge, and so obviously that's 2 books a month to stay on track for the year. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but just have a lot of things going on, and I know kind of my pace of reading is not as fast and I don't have as much extra time as other people, so sometimes it just doesn't work out. But I actually read 4 books this month instead of 2, which was pretty big for me, and I have them here with me. And I actually started listening to audiobooks this month, which was really exciting. I'm trying to find different ways to do that, so if you have any advice on like Overdrive and different apps like that. I downloaded one that I saw in my library, but I don't know how to work it, so maybe that's what I'll figure out this month instead. But let's just go right into it. I'm just going to go in order of the way, the order that I got them done. So my first book that I read, and I already did a video about this because I watched the movie to go with it too, and that was Geralds Game by Stephen King. I know this was kind of a big one this year because the movie came out on Netflix and it came out several months ago, but I had not really gotten to the book yet, so I waited till I finished reading the book to watch the movie, and it was really good. It didn't disappoint. Basically, you have your main characters, Jesse and Gerald, and they're married, and they are kind of having some troubles with their marriage, so they go out on vacation together to, I think they have like this is their vacation house, kind of like a lake house that they're going to, and they're trying to try out different things, and Gerald handcuffs her to the bed, and she starts to she's like, no, just kidding, I don't want to do this anymore. And some events lead to another, and he ends up having a heart attack and dies, on the bed. And so she's left handcuffed and she can't get out. So she's left in this house all alone, which is obviously already terrifying. And then she ends up, there's different things that happen, and she starts hearing voices in her head and thinking about things about her past, and kind of going through, all these things that have happened in her life and her marriage with Gerald. And not only with the voices that she's hearing that are kind of, making her feel crazy, she starts seeing something every night, kind of a shadowy figure, and she's trying to deal with, is that really happening, or is this just a figment of my imagination? And it kind of goes through that in the book, and it wasn't what I would consider, super horrifying. It was creepy, and it was, it really makes you anxious because you're like, okay, well, we got to get out of this. And she keeps going through like what's going to happen and how long she can stay there without water, without food, and all these different things. And so it does make you really nervous, but it's not really like, I wouldn't say it's super scary, but there are the creepy parts with the little what's really happening and what isn't, and she's kind of trying to, this is not making sense, she's trying to, figure it all out. So they're pretty much like all, I can really tell you without spoiling anything. I get really excited about things and I want to tell people really good parts of the books, and I'm like, wait a second, that would kind of give some things away. So that's just your basic going into the story, your plot, and what you would really just know from the back of the book anyway. The second book that I read, and I picked this one up a while ago and I just hadn't gotten to it. I had been wanting to read more of John Green after I read Paper Towns, which I just kind of picked up on a whim a few years ago, and I loved it. I read Looking for Alaska, which was a really, really short, quick read. I think he's considered YA, I guess. But I did like this. Like, you kind of have your main character, Alaska, who is kind of a main character. Like, I don't know, I kind of didn't like her a little bit, but you like that you don't like her. I don't know, you hate to love them, I guess. Your first you're almost like narrating main character is a boy named Miles, who's he's moved schools. He's moved into this private school, so it's kind of a different shift in dynamic. He's living at school instead of at home. It's kind of like a boarding school, and so he meets all these people, and they're really different, and they're quirky, and you know, they have all their cliques, and they kind of go through that. But I don't know, it was a lot of fun. It was interesting, and he's kind of got his, I don't know, everybody has their little like niche in the book, where it's like something quirky about them. And so his thing is like he knows all of like a bunch of famous people's last words, and so that comes up a lot in the book, and you know, in his thoughts and different things. And he's just a lot of life lessons in this, where they're trying to kind of figure out really what their goal is in life, what they're trying to accomplish. He keeps talking about this quote about, you know, the great perhaps, and all these different things. No. And she starts talking about this quote that says, it's something like, how will I ever get out of this labyrinth? And she's asking people like, well, what do you think that means? What do you think the labyrinth is? And what do you think, you know, is it life? Is it death? Is it, you know, the end of time? You know, it's just a lot of kind of thoughts with those different things. And then Miles starts to kind of fall in love with Alaska, and she's kind of lived her life very differently than he has. And he's always been, you know, kind of just non-eventful. Like he's not a big personality. When you kind of meet him, he doesn't seem like a big personality. He doesn't seem much like a risk taker, and Alaska is totally the opposite. She loves pranks. She loves, you know, putting herself out there. And she has these mood swings where, you know, they're not really understanding what's going on with her, because like she'll be super, super up one day and then super down the next, and it doesn't really explain it until, you know, kind of towards the end of the book. And it's divided into before and after. And so going into the book, I tried to think of, okay, before, and what could be happening after. Like what is it after? Like what's happening in the middle? And I have to say, like I kind of knew going in. I didn't read anything, I didn't look up anything, but just looking at the plot on the back of the book, I could kind of tell what the after event was going to be. So I wasn't super shocked, and that's not a big deal to me. But I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say that I loved it, but it was fun. It was quick. It was easy read. So if that's something that you like, or you enjoy John Green, I would definitely add that to my. And there are some really great quotes in this. And in the back, it kind of goes through some of the history and the what am I trying to say? The sources of the quotes, like where he kind of pulled some of this stuff from. So that's pretty much that. And then the third book that I finished was one that I put down for February, because I was trying to do like seasonal books, and I wanted to do romances in February, but I just bought this one in December, and I was really excited to get into this. And that is Safe Haven by Nicholas Sparks. Now, I watched the movie of this not that long ago, but it was a couple of years ago, and I really liked it. It was a really good story. It was, you know, it was sad, and it was, you know, a kind of thrilling at the same time, and then it was romantic, and then it was like, okay, what's going on? It just had all these different elements to it. So I thought it was really, like, now that I've read the book, and I thought the movie was so good, and it is, and I still like watching it. But once I read the book, I really felt gypped by the movie, because there's so many things. I know everybody says this. There's so many things in the book that should have been in the movie, and it wouldn't have taken away anything. Like, there were things that they threw in and they kind of changed in the movie that weren't necessary. And I think, I don't know. I just don't like it when they do that. Like, just stick with it, because those things would have been great. These events would have been great in the movie if they had just kept it the way it was. But anyway, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. The basic plot is that you have a girl named Katie who's moved to North Carolina, and she's kind of by herself. She's kind of this almost like recluse type, like people don't know what's going on with her. She doesn't really have friends or anything. She's kind of living in a shack out in the woods by herself that, you know, she can barely pay for because she just doesn't have any money. And she works at a restaurant kind of at the beach. But anyway, she starts meeting people, and she goes into the grocery store all the time, which is almost like a gas station, kind convenience grocery, like all in one thing. And she meets the owner, and his name is Alex, and they kind of, they start kind of hitting it off, and she meets his kids, and that kind of grows, her relationships with the community. And at first she really tries to push people away, and she makes all these comments that she's trying to start over. But nobody can really figure out what's going on with her until Alex kind of starts piecing it together and realizing kind of what's happened in her past. And then she kind of does the same for him. Like, he hasn't had a super traumatic past like she has, but he's had really, he's had bad things happen to him too, where he's experienced, a lot of loss. And so their relationship is really great, and it has a lot of really good, realistic, I guess, romantic element. I don't know. I really liked it. I really, 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 really liked it. But then you also have, apart from, the community, Alex and Katie, you also have her neighbor, Joe, who kind of starts to befriend her, and they start having a really good relationship as well. They, both of them are kind of working on their houses, and so they'll come over and hang out with each other a lot, and they really form this really great bond where they can share things with each other, and you kind of get this feeling like Joe knows a lot about Katie, even though Katie doesn't want to tell her. She's kind of assuming a lot about her life. So it was really, really good. But I just felt like there were so many things that they could have had in the movie that were so, I don't know, eventful and powerful, and they just left it. And then they changed so much of it to where it was like, okay, cool, that was great, but it wasn't as good as the book. And you could have easily done it the way the book did. I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about that. And so my last one is the book that I listened to on audiobook, which was, again, my first audiobook that I had ever checked out. I've, recently tried to get to the library more often, and I had never really checked out their audiobooks because I just wasn't sure if I was going to be into it. And then I thought about all the time that I could be spending listening to books and getting them, getting some in that maybe weren't these big books that I was excited about, but books that I wanted to read and kind of check off my list. And so that book was Worst Case by James Patterson. Michael Ledwidge is the other author with him. And really, I got this at an ABBA house. I think I got this one and the one that I'm listening to right now, which is the Quickie. I'm listening to the audiobook. These were the two James Patterson books that I had, and those were the two audiobooks that were available, and it was just, I don't know, it was perfect. And this would have been a really quick and easy read if I had just read it, because I don't know, the writing is really spaced out. The chapters are really, really short. I mean, there were some where it was like 2 pages later, there's another chapter. So it would have been quick either way. I wouldn't say that this was groundbreaking, but it was a really good story. So you have, obviously it's kind of like a crime mystery, but it's, kind of on the cover it goes through like worst case, best case, the case, and it tells you, the different things that are happening kind of with your main characters. So you have this detective, Mike Bennett, who is investigating a murder of a young boy, and they're tracking it. First it's like, it's like a kidnapping, and they're getting calls from this guy, and they're talking, ransom and different things like, what does he want, where are we gonna find him? And they finally find him, and they find the first boy dead. And the back of the book tells you that. That's why I'm telling you that. But you start to notice like a pattern, like he keeps, taking these hostages, and they keep getting these calls. But you start, like I said, you start to see a pattern with the victims and what they have in common. And so it was easy, and like, I wouldn't say that, I try almost not to solve the murder in my head because I like to be surprised, but you can really guess where this is going. So I wouldn't say, like I said, I wouldn't say it's super groundbreaking. There are some twists here and there, but you can kind of see most of this coming. But you also kind of learn a little bit about Mike Bennett's personal life. He starts working with an FBI agent named Emily, who, is helping him solve the case. At first, he kind of, doesn't want her there. Like he feels like that's, you know, someone stepping on his toes by having her there. But then they kind of also hit it off. And they're really good friends, but you kind of get these romantic elements with that. And you learn about kind of both their personal lives. The audiobook was funny, and I put this on my Instagram story, but I kept thinking, you know, all these audiobooks and people are talking about celebrities that read the audiobooks. I just kept thinking this is going to be a voice that I was going to maybe recognize or know. And I don't know, it was so strange because a lot of the voices were the same. So like, for instance, the person who is voicing the killer is also voicing another character. So I would have to really stop and, whoa, wait a second. This is not the killer that's talking right now. So it was kind of weird. And then the woman playing Emily, or voicing Emily, she was talking like Siri to start. And so she was very robotic. I mean, just imagine Siri telling you directions. That's what she sounded like. And then they mentioned that she has, you know, kind of a country, maybe Western accent, and she goes into this accent all strong. I mean, like, it's bad. It's really bad. It may be like, because I am around people who have country accents a lot, I was overcritical of that, but I don't know, it was really funny. And then sometimes it would be really strong, and then sometimes it wasn't. And then I think it was Mike or somebody who would randomly kind of sound like they were from Boston. It was just, I don't know, the voices to me would kind of throw me off. Now the one that I'm listening to right now is completely voiced by one woman. So it's a little bit easier to follow, especially since most of it is the main character who is a woman, you know, internalizing things and speaking and thinking and whatever. So that was a little bit easier. This is a little bit easier for me to listen to. I don't know. I don't know if I was too sensitive to that, or if that's like what all audiobooks are like, but I don't know. It just kind of made me laugh here and there. But I did like that one. Like, I would totally, you know, if you like a mystery and again, you like something easy, I feel like all I did was read easy books this time. But I would definitely say that it wasn't a letdown. I mean, it's fine. Like I said, it wasn't super groundbreaking, but I did enjoy it, and I liked listening to it. I liked kind of, you know, the way that it unfolded, and the way that it ended. And I liked the characters. There's a part at the end where something happens between Emily and Michael, and it's kind of sudden, and I'm trying not to give it away. It's really sudden, but it kind of made me not like him a little bit. Like, the whole time you think he's this like super hardworking dad and he takes care of his kids and all this stuff, and then they have this conversation. I don't know, and I didn't like it. It's kind of annoying. It made him seem like kind of a jerk all of a sudden after this whole time he's been, you know, the hero or whatever. So that was kind of interesting. So that's it for January. For right now, I'm reading The Time Traveler's Wife, which is taking me forever to get through, and I don't know why. It's not that I don't like it. I love it. I don't know. I don't know if I'm too busy or something's off. I don't know. I'm struggling to get through it quickly. But then I'm also, like I said, listening to The Quickie by James Patterson, and I'm really enjoying that one so far. And so I think next on my list, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. On my blog, I posted my, you know, what I'm going to read for 2017, kind of my reading challenge and my thoughts on where my list is going for each month and kind of my goals. And then at the bottom, I put extras, but then I also went to the library and picked up a couple of things, so I don't know what's going to happen. Who knows what's going to happen. But I'll try to update you guys again at the end of February if I've had some good progress with what I'm reading and it feels like they're even worth talking about. So let me know if you enjoyed this. If any of these books sounded interesting to you, I would definitely, you know, add them to your list. Most of these were pretty quick for me to get through. I think the longest time I took reading any of these was Geralds Game, but it was like around the holidays and New Year's, and I was all over the place, so I probably could have gotten it through it a lot quicker, but I don't know, it hooked me in. Like, I couldn't stop reading it. So like I said, it just add them to your list if they sound fun to you. But I hope you learned something or found any of this interesting or informative. If you enjoy these type of videos, just let me know and be sure to subscribe so that you can kind of see different things I'm putting out. I also, I went over the Geralds Game movie versus book video, and I'm gonna try to do more of those. I know I want to rewatch Safe Haven since I read that, and since Valentine's Day is coming up, I'm probably gonna do that around there. So just stay tuned and we'll see what happens. All right, thanks. Bye guys.